What's up, Sum Hacker? Now we are diving into some of the more juicy sums because the simultaneous equation I'm going to unpack here is where students often get it wrong in tests and exams. But fear not, I'm going to show you exactly how to get full marks step by step. So I'm going to start off by looking at my two equations. And the first thing that I can see here is, yes, I'm definitely going to manipulate the second one. It's going to be a whole lot easier. But what I want you to see here is I'm actually not going to make x the subject of the formula here, because in my second equation, I have x squared, which is just going to make my calculation so complicated in the long run. Okay, so what I'm rather going to do is go for the simpler option and make y the subject of the formula, because can you see here, it's just a plain variable. It's not squared. So if I were to manipulate this one and make y the subject of the formula, it's going to be so much easier to substitute. So that is what I'm going to do. So the second one is the one I'm going to manipulate, and I'm going to make y the subject. So it's going to be 4y is equal to positive 14, because that was already that side, minus 3x. But I want y alone, so I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. So my final equation is going to look like this. Y is equal to 14 minus 3x over 4. Okay, and that is going to be my equation 1, and the one on top here is going to be my equation 2. I'm just going to label them. So can you see that this is going to be so much easier to substitute in y instead of if I was to substitute it in something that was squared? Do you see that? So now we can get cracking with actually substituting our values. So write down, put 1 into 2. So wherever we see a y here, we are going to substitute this bad boy in. So I'm going to have x squared plus x. Y, I'm substituting 14 minus 3x over 4 minus 3x minus y, which again, I'm substituting my 14 minus 3x. I am running out of space here, so let me just move this bad boy up here. Okay, close my bracket is equal to 0. I'm going to move up here a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is multiply my x into the bracket as well as multiply my negative into this bracket over here. So I'm going to have x squared plus 14x minus 3x squared, but do not forget this is over 4. It's a fraction. Then you got your minus 3x, and then if I multiply that negative in, I will have minus 14 plus 3x over 4. Okay, so now what I want to do is try and get this 4 away, and the way I do that is I multiply by 4 over 1, because that 4 and that 4 will cancel out. So what I'm left with is just what's on the top here, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this one as well, but you can't just do it with the 2 that have the 4 beneath it. You got to do it with every single value. Okay, so here is what that will look like on the side. You have to say x squared times 4. Then you have to say 14x minus 3x squared over 4 times 4, and that's technically 4 over 1, but can you see here that those 4s will cancel out? Then you need to say negative 3x times 4, okay? And then the final one, you need to say negative 14 plus 3x over 4 times 4, which is the same as 4 over 1, but do you see that those 4s will now cancel out? Okay, so let's start at the top. X squared times 4 is going to give me 4x squared. So I'm actually going to write it down here in my equation. Then looking at the next one, because our 4's canceled out, do you see that we have positive 14x minus 3x squared left there? Then we times our negative 3x with 4, and that's going to give us minus 12x. And then this last one we multiplied by 4, but because our 4 is cancelled out, we are merely left with minus 14 plus 3x equals to 0. So now do you see we have all whole numbers, we don't have any fractions. It's going to be so much easier to simplify at this point. So I'm going to work with my x squared first and put them all together. So 4x squared minus 3x squared is going to give me 1x squared, but I'm just going to write x squared. I don't need to write the 1. Then I'm going to cancel these because I've worked with them. Then I'm going to look at my x values, which is positive 14x here, negative 12x there, and positive 3x. And if you stick that all in your calculator, you are going to get plus 5x. But because I've worked with them, I'm going to cancel them out. So the only thing I'm left with here is negative 14. So I'm going to write it down, equals to 0. Excellent. Now we have something that we can factorize. So write your two brackets down. Make sure that they are equals to 0. You know that we need an x in this bracket and an x in this bracket. Then the sign for my c value over here tells me what the signs will look like in my brackets. Because that is negative, it means I have to have a positive and a negative in my brackets. So I'm going to add those now. Then I look at the sign for my b value over here. All right, and that is a positive, which means the bigger factor of 14 needs to be a positive. So the factors of 14 that I'm going to use here are 7 and 2. But because 7 is the bigger factor, that is going to be positive, and then 2 will be negative. And to double check yourself that your factors are indeed correct in your brackets, simply ask yourself, is plus 7 minus 2 equals to positive 5? It is, so you know that's correct. And then you ask yourself, is plus 7 times negative 2 equals to negative 14? And it absolutely is. So now you know that the factors that you've stuck in your brackets are indeed correct. So now we're merely going to solve for x. So we have x plus 7 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. On this side, we're going to have x is equal to negative 7, and then we have x is equal to positive 2. And those then are indeed your x values. So now the next thing to do is to put your x values into the first equation, right? Equation number 1 that you worked out. So simply write, put x values into 1. Then what you can do is write your x values down. X is equal to negative 7 and x is equal to 2. And then what you want to do is find your equation 1, which you worked out here. Ba-boom. Okay, and you want to stick it at the bottom. So write it down quickly and then you just sub in. So I'm going to do this down here so it's a little bit easier to see. That's going to give us y is equal to 35 over 4. I know that looks like a weird answer, but it is indeed correct. And then on the other side, we have y is equal to 14 minus 3 times 2 all over 4. And y is then equal to 2. So your values should then be x is equal to negative 7, x is equal to 2, and then your y value should be y is equal to 35 over 4, and y is equal to 2. And that is how you tackle this sum. I know this one is a little bit more complicated, so if you need to pause, rewind, go back, do it again. But otherwise, you've done an awesome job. Let's keep this momentum going, and if you are ready to move on, then be sure to dive into the next video now and let's get stuck in.